Hello, everyone, and welcome to League Review. I'm your host, William, and today we are going to be talking about the LCK Week 3. So far, it was a pretty good week. We went 7-3 again, which is our second 7-3 in a row so far in the LCK. We got a freak of right over APK, but that was a much closer series than we expected. APK actually showed a little bit of life this week, which was surprising to see compared to how bad they looked in week 1. They still blew quite a few games, especially I believe it was game 3. No, it was game 1 against Afrika that I believe Afrika won, and then they won game 2. And it was that could have easily been a 2-0 for APK. Sandbox lost to Griffin in a reverse sweep, which was just disgusting. And then T1 just destroyed KT Rolster. KT Rolster looks like a complete mess. It looks like nothing has changed from last split, and they're a bottom tier team at the moment. Dragon X, they beat Hama Life, and Gen G beat Damwon. Griffin beat APK. Dragon X beat a freak of freaks, which I was very surprised about, which makes me I'm pretty late today. I'm 40 minutes late, so I don't know if Idol will be here tonight or not, but he's the one that convinced me to put Gen G over Kingzone Dragon X in my power rankings. They're not Kingzone Dragon X, they're just Dragon X. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting their name. But he told me to put him over, and we did one of our audibles. And yeah, I believe I had him third. And I'm very disappointed that I did that because I like them a lot, and I think that they're one of the best teams right now for sure. I love having Deft and Chovy, having one of the best mid laners and one of the best ADCs on the same team. It's just monstrous. You just gotta put support around them, and they're gonna get you so many wins, I feel like, which has happened so far. Hama Life over Sandbox was really good. A terrible week by Sandbox, by the way. Not only losing to Griffin, but then losing to Hama Life. Hama Life, I love this team. This team is a bunch of psychopaths with their draft. We'll talk about a little bit of their drafting in upcoming. But man, I love it. I love creative drafting. It is my favorite thing in League of Legends to see people try and think outside of the meta, not play the same 20 champions, 5 champions at each role, and that's all you can play. I love seeing spicy picks because spicy picks work, and sometimes people if you just get creative with it, you can find some really busted stuff. I feel like that's just hidden. It just requires some work. Damwon over KT. I do think Damwon should. Our Damwon did beat KT. I shouldn't say they should. This is not prediction. This is a recap. And then I lost with T1 actually coming in with the victory over Gen G. Very impressed finally from T1. That was the series. They had beaten. Let's go back. Week 1, they had beaten KT, which I don't really count as much as a win. They kind of struggled against Damwon. Damwon looked terrible. It was just a terrible series. And then they lost to Hama Life. So actually, beating Gen G, that was legitimizing for me for T1. I don't think I had him in the playoffs all year so far until this win, and then spoiler alert, I have him in my playoffs. All right, predictions: 14-6, pretty solid. That's a 70% win rate, duh, because 70% and 70% would equal 70%. So we're looking good in Korea. Not looking too great in NA. This was another terrible week because NA is a mess. But we'll tune in tomorrow for the NA podcast with Ryan and Brian. That should be a good one. All right, let's talk about. Let me pull this up real quick. Okay, let's talk about match review, or today's topics, I should say. Today's topics. One of the topics I wanted to talk about simply was: has anyone noticed the very poor? Hang on, let's get an extra note here. Okay, there. Try and block as many ads with sticky notes as I can, and we can write down little notes here. But if anyone noticed, just the absolute poor play of Korea this year, we talked about it briefly last week, but it's been quite terrible. It's really tough to describe, as I don't know if I don't know what's going on because they have such good players. Like, look at Dragon X, we have at 4-0, 8-3 in games, so they've even dropped a few games. They're only at a 73% win rate, which is the highest in game wise. But they have Doran, Piausik, who I really like, I've really been impressed by, Chovy, Deft, and Kira. Genji, we have Rascal, Clid, BDD, Ruler, and Kellen. Like, having just Clid and Ruler on the same team, let alone having, like, BDD on top of that and Kellen. Like there's a lot of good players on good teams here that I don't know why they're playing so bad, you know? Is, like, NA is terrible right now. Like, we'll talk about this tomorrow, but NA is in an embarrassing shape at the moment, which makes me a little bit worried about C9. Like, I love C9. I love how they played the game. I love everything about what they're doing right now. It makes me a slight bit worried that NA just might be that bad on every single other team. That's why they're shining so hard at the moment. EU, G2 did not look good this week at all. They lost to freaking SO4 and Misfits, I believe. Yeah, they lost. Misfits are now tied for first in EU. Misfits are pretty good. Like, they're decent, but a first place? No. So the rest of EU is kind of... EU's in the best position, in my opinion. I think that Misfits is good. I think G2 just had a terrible week. They'll bounce back fine. Fnatic and Origin, I think, are pretty solid as well. And Mad Lions ain't bad themselves. So, like, there's some hope there. Like, Korea, Dragon X is good. Genji is pretty good. T1 and Afrika are good. Like, you got four teams that are pretty solid. Damwon has looked really bad so far. They're 2-2. They're 2-2, but man, one of their wins is against APK, and I'm blanking on, it was the other one against KT. Yeah, their wins are against APK and freaking KT. Like, that is not, I don't have any good things to say about that. Like, those are two games that you should easily win. Sandbox looked god-awful this week. Like, we'll talk about them in a second. KT Rolster looked awful. Humble Life, I'm actually impressed by. They're 2-2 that I'm happy with. But, I'm happy with Humble, disappointed in Damwon. Griffin looks bad. Sandbox looks bad. APK looks terrible. KT Rolster looks terrible. Like, you have an average team that is unexpected, an average team that was supposed to do better, and then four good teams, but I wouldn't call really great teams yet. So I really am curious about how is League going to perform this year at MSI. Like, this is going to be, in my opinion, it's open to all regions, dare I say it, with G2 coming out of, let's just go, because MSI is only one of each region. We got G2, and we won't talk about minor regions right now, but G2's coming out of EU. That's probably, if LPL doesn't come back for at least a few more weeks, we don't know what's going to happen with the LPL right now. That is the biggest question mark. Is obviously, I would, as the fanboy here, I would pick LPL team probably going to be the favorite no matter what. If they don't come back and, like, say they have to, like, miss MSI, or, like, we have no idea yet. Like, who knows how long it'll be. Will the whole season, like, spring split, just be canceled? It's possible. Like, if it comes back, though, they might have to just do in-house games and, like, not on stream or something like that. That's what I've just been hearing. We don't know. We don't know with the LPL, which is scary, because from 1 week, I saw a lot more in 1 week of the LPL than I've seen in any other region right now for the most part. And that's kind of saying something. Outside of, like, that RNG Billy game, which was a snooze fest, it was pretty entertained by most of the games there. Let's say Dragon X, Genji, Afrika, T1, any of those go in. C9 probably for NA. Like, we're talking, like, it's up in the air. I really could not pick. It's like, oh, you can throw out. I could not throw out our C9 against Dragon. Unless Korea actually shows some improvement here, I don't think they're going to make it far at MSI. I really don't. Like, sorry to say it. Like, this is tough. It's tough to watch. It's tough to watch. I think that's my issue. It's not entertainingly. I actually am falling in love with LS's casting a bit, actually. And I've always not agreed with LS on quite a few things, but, like, dang, like, he's been telling it like it is for a bit. And, like, just, like, some of these games are really bad. Like, these are not high class professional games. So maybe we'll see when the crowd gets back. Maybe it's kind of weird. Maybe they're not having as many practices, or they're not out in public team, like not necessarily out in public team building, but like you're not maybe going out and doing as many events with your team and like focusing, which is part of team building. I like it's an underrated side of like synergizing with each other, which I think Cloud9 is doing very well in NA. So moving on, we'll move on from this topic. I feel like I've talked in circles enough about this, but I'm worried. I'm worried for the quality, not just Korea, the quality of professional league in 2020 is taking a massive dip since 2019. 2019 and even 2018, you could say we were at some high peak levels of quality league. I really think so. I think just the introduction to the play your heart out type style, like just almost like find your own style, your own type of way to play the game, and just like 1v, just outskill your opponents type of league we were watching was a lot more entertaining, and it looked a lot cleaner than what we see now. Now we're seeing very sloppy team fights. It's like teams almost forgot how to team fight over the off season, which is very confusing to me. And yeah, we'll move on. But you get my point. It's not. I want to bring it up because Korea is the one that worries me the most. Like, because I don't expect much from NA. Let's be honest, and I don't expect too much from EU outside of usually G2 and Fnatic. So it's been actually a nice little bit of a surprise to see Origin actually playing really well and Misfits as well. So I'm actually kind of satisfied enough with EU. But like Korea, like I came into a split, I was really excited about like 9 teams. I remember talking preseason, we were excited about 9 teams coming in. The only team we were not excited about was APK because we didn't know anything about them. And yeah, so far, not living up to that hype. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Humble Life. Let's actually pull up some match history here, which I know we're not going to do too much match history, but I feel like Humble Life gets a special match history. We'll just pull up all 5 of their games this week. The first game they played, thank God they lost. No. I love it. I disagree completely with this Lee Sin pick here, but they have Trendemir top, which we never see Trendemir in pro play ever. Lee Sin jungle, Karma mid, Soraka ADC with a Shen support. So you're giving Trendemir essentially here, Karma, Soraka, and Shen ult on your team. Like all I want here is I want a tanky frontliner here. So you have essentially your tank / CC. Like, because you don't really have any solid CC here outside of Shen Taunt, really. Like, maybe Soraka Silence, and even then, that's not much. So, I would love to see a Sejuani here. Was she banned? No. Sejuani here would have been very strong, I think. It's kind of rough into Olaf, so maybe you go into maybe something more, like, just build a tank Gragas in the sense, or like a Jarvan or something, which isn't banned as well. So some type of form of CC engage. Like this team had no engage, which is the problem. But if you put that in instead of Lee Sin, I think this team could probably win it. Though it also kind of got countered really hard by Pyke. Pyke kind of stops all shields with his ult, and so I feel like if you're gonna do this type of style, maybe get rid of the Lucian ban. No, they ban Lucian a lot. Maybe get rid of the Aphelios ban and throw Pyke in there instead if you were planning this around this. But yeah, I do love the creativity. I love the it's almost like it's very similar to their Soraka Yuumi Olaf that they played against T1, except it's essentially Soraka Karma with Trendemir. So it's I think styles like this can definitely work right now in this meta. Like just the heal enchanters are on the rage pretty much, and they always come with good cheese. Like I'm telling you, if I had to bet on a team right now to pick my Swain Yuumi that I'm trying to convince the world to to play Swain Yuumi bot lane, this Humble Life would be the team. Next game, they played a little bit more standard. They threw out the Nautilus in the mid lane for Chovy. Nope, that's Dragon X. Sorry, my bad. They played Rumble, Diana. The Diana jungle is. I'm not liking it in pro play. I'm gonna be honest. Diana can really snowball and has snowballed a few games, but for the most part in pro play, she's never getting ahead. You're just in pro play. You play on a lot less gold usually than solo queue, because there's not like 30 kills every single game for both sides. Like there's no opportunities for you to get a bunch of that gold. You farm a lot better, so you still like you balance it out with that sense. But yeah, the budget for the jungler Diana with the decrease in levels and stuff, it just feels like you don't get anywhere that you need to be. Like you need the snowball, and by being the jungler, you really can't snowball, in my opinion. So I'm not a fan of the pick, and there's a reason it lost. Oops, that's Demon versus Gen G. Okay, let's get rid of that one. All right, and then How Life versus Sandbox. They played the Yumi Misfortune, which isn't bad. I don't necessarily like that too much. I think that Yumi needs to work with someone with like Swain. I love Swain Yumi. They did have a big lead here, and then they threw it around the Baron, and then they pulled it back. They pulled it back, but they really did throw this lead big time in this game. But yeah, I'm just looking for more spiciness, pretty much, and then Hamalai, not really spicy too much. So it was really the biggest spice was definitely the Trendemare game. It was definitely that. But they brought it out with the Yumi Soraka Olaf last week. I'm curious to see what they bring out this week. And this week they're actually playing some, I believe, some top tier teams this week. Gen G and no, they face Griffin, but they do face Gen G in the first game, so that will be interesting to see. So far, actually, Nogri has been our MVP. Really, he's been the MVP the most times for essentially every time Damwon has won. He's been MVP. Oh man, Chovy, Clid, Faker, BDD. Interesting. Just always curious about that stuff. All right, what else? We could talk about maybe one more thing before going into power rankings and stuff like that. But what the last thing I want to talk about is just. Well, we could talk about this. This was breaking news this week. Like 4 hours ago? 4 hours ago it broke that Faker has extended his contract by 3 years with T1 and is going to be, or is, I believe, a part-time owner now, and then will be in a much bigger role later on, because in 3 years he will be taking his military service. So we only have 3 more years of Faker until he's retired for sure. At that point, I would assume, because 3 more years of league, he'll be taking military service. How old would he be by that point? And I believe military service is for a full year. I want to say, how long is Korean military service? 23. Oh, it's 2 years. Okay, so it's 2 years. So he will be 26. He'll be 28. But he'll be definitely pushing it, I would say, on the age scale there, coming back 2 years after, especially with a contract already having him be a much higher up in the organization. I think we'll definitely see him kind of just take a role, almost like a GM style role in SKT. After military service, I think his playing days are. We have 3 years left of him, and then I think we'll be done. Unfortunately, but yeah, it was good for him. I actually love seeing players really kind of set up their life, because esports and esports in general, and not just esports, but streaming and everything like that is kind of temporary job wise, you would say. Some people, obviously, like big names like that are set for life, but I'd say most people, like usually, like I work day to day. Like I think most people kind of have to work day to day, like 99% of the people that stream. But so it's always good to see, like you're not going to see a lot of players, like say, let's throw it out on top of my head. What's a player I can shame here? I don't want to shame them. I don't want to shame anyone. So let's not shame them. Let's talk about our Lord and Savior, Big. Big doesn't have a job at the moment, I don't think. And like outside of streaming, like you gotta have strong personality for streaming to keep a consistent revenue, or you're gonna have to get into a coaching position outside of that. But for the most part, there's the issue with esports is the career kind of leaves you. You're kind of forced to stay in esports for the most part, unless you go back to college, and then there's always that option as well. Going back to college, if you didn't already graduate, and which most of them, if they're starting at 17, probably didn't. And then you can work your life through there. But outside of that, your really only job out of here is to be something in the esports industry. Coach, analyst, shoutcaster, like owner, like that. That's what you're limited to. So it's good to see him set his life up, though. Like, get paid. He's best player, the Michael Jordan of League of Legends. So he's set for life, I would assume. And it's good to see that he's going to have a strong role later on. Like, the older he gets, he'll still absolutely be a big part of the esports scene. So we won't lose him. All right, with that, though, let's talk about the updated standings so far. Freaks. I did not actually update the movements here. Well, we'll not talk about that. We'll actually bring up the standings here. I just realized, I'm like, no, Afrika lost to to Kingzone. So yeah, here are the updated standings. We'll zoom in here so we can basically same thing. Oopsies, a little too far, a little too much zoom there. All right, here we go. Basically same thing is what I had over there. I updated the numbers but didn't update the icons. But Dragon X is 4-0. Genji is 3-1 in second place. Afrika is 3-1 in second place with or third place I should say, but they're 7-4 instead of 7-3, so Genji owns the tiebreaker. T1 is also 3-1 but 7-4, so they actually don't own the tiebreaker over Genji, even though they've beaten Genji because of that. I've always found that one interesting. Damwon is 2-2. Helm of Life is 2-2. Griffin's 2-2. Sandbox is 1-3. APK is 0-4, and KT Rolster is 0-4, both with at least 2 game wins. So that's the standings. It's still very early. We're still only 2 weeks in, so anything can change. But I don't see too much of that changing. But I don't see too much of like the bottom, I should say, coming up. All right, so the power rankings this week, I've moved Dragon X all the way up to my number 1 team. I am super excited about that. Like I said earlier, I had him number 3 to start the year. I was really, really hyped. I was hyped more on Dragon X than I was on Genji personally. I know I'm in the minority in there for sure. But that's mostly because I love having a mid laner, a top 5 mid laner, and a top 5 ADC in the world on the same team. Like you can even argue like top or top 3 for those positions for these players. So it's really nice to see it all coming together. And the biggest surprise for me that's been really nice is Piosik. Piosik has actually looked very good so far this year. And he was definitely the biggest question mark I had on the team. Afrika dropped down to number 2. There's simply because they lost to Dragon X. They still look good to me. I don't like when they don't play Mystic though. They play SS a lot, or SNS I believe it's called. Or he is called. I don't like that. I'm not. We could talk about this tomorrow with Cloud9 now being just a 5-man roster, pretty much. I don't like substitutes and like big rosters for League of Legends. I don't think they are needed. I never liked them. I didn't like Afrika last year when they played 9 billion people on the team. I think they had like 15 people start for them at some point. I didn't like with Cloud9 constantly trading between Blabber, Svenskeren. Like, I feel like it's too much to me. I feel like you're giving up precious scrim time for people, and like substitutes in like real sports makes sense because there's just stamina, like stamina. Like you kind of get tired, and you need to be substituted out or something like that. I can see it if you're performing very terribly, like super, super, super bad, like make a change, possibly like T1, which is made me worried for T1. We'll talk about that now. Genji's dropped to 3, but T1's moved up to number 4. My only worry with T1 is they've already like benched Roach. Like your replacement for Khan has already been benched essentially in week 2, and they've moved on with Kana right now. And Kana's performed admirably, for sure, but like your replacement of Roach and Cuz to replace Clit and Khan is not gone as great as I would think they would have liked. So having Kana there instead is kind of nice. It's wait. Did Kana play against Shinji? I know he played the first series. I'm totally blanking. Did he play against Shinji? We got check. Or was that Roach? Did they put him back in? No, they kept Kana. They kept Kana in the whole way. Yep, that's what I thought. Yeah, I don't. It's not like Kana's blowing me away by any means, but he's just not feeding at the levels that Roach was feeding in the first few games. The first week was just. I think he got benched in week 1. Like I think he was benched by like the second series, like game 2 or something like that of the second series, like, when they lost against Hama Life. And man, I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see if he gets a spot back. I think Kana's going to keep that job, even though he's not super impressive. He's okay, and that's all you're asking for right now. How will life? I've moved all the way up to number 5. I know they lost to the DRX, but man, they beat Sandbox, and I'm excited. I think it's sitting there at the situation like I gotta have them above Griffin right now, in my opinion. They're way better than Griffin, and they are making me more excited than Damwon is. And Damwon and them I have about equal at the moment. So like if I'm more excited to watch your games and like to see your innovation and to make plays, I'm gonna move you up. I'm definitely gonna move you up. Where Damwon has just been kind of sloppy, and we really haven't seen too much outside of them pummeling KT and pummeling APK, which again every team should pummel both of those. Griffin moved up to number 7 for beating Sandbox with the reverse sweep, even though it was a very, very ugly series. And then they immediately followed that up with a win against APK. So they had a nice 2-0 week. So they moved up to 7. Sandbox dropped to number 8. I don't know what happened to Sandbox, man. This team, I really like their aggressive style, but they play it wrong. They don't have any caution whatsoever. I feel like there needs to be a little bit. They're just pure raw aggression. They haven't refined it enough. Which is weird, I know, coming from me, but like, come on. If you watch the Sandbox game, oh god, I wish I could. Oh, we're gonna look for it. We're gonna look for it here. We have an event pod here. Let's pull. It has to happen. Where did Summit play? Where did he play Lucian? Was it this game? The Summit on Lucian. Okay. So I'm going to pull this over here. And then I'm going to look for it here. But as I was talking, this team plays so, like, too aggressive sometimes. And Summit wrapped this up in one play, if I can find it. Let's see. Went a little too far there. Let's pull it back. But he just essentially went in with Lucian on 1v4, which made no sense at the time. And like his team had already essentially been like beaten, and then like they were going to come back around and kind of like fight, you know, but they didn't. Okay, I have it. No, I don't. Oh, I'll look for that. I'll have this on the side here while we're talking next. So let's go back to our player of the week. And that player of the week is Teddy. Teddy here just looked really, really good on SKT or T1, sorry. And he's pretty much a KDA of 9, kill participation of 74.1, damage percentage of 35.4, and 589 DPM. I really think Teddy has actually been one of the best players on T1 since they've gotten him. Like, I feel like he's even outperformed Faker quite a bit. And that's been I'm not necessarily surprised. We always saw it on Jenner, how he would actually, like, what would he be like if he had a team, you know? And he's definitely shown that. He's definitely shown once he's gotten a team, he's been able to just absolutely like 1v5 people. Like there are so many games I feel like that are won on the back of on the back of his performances that are like unreal. Like I feel like he carries more than Faker does now. Ever since he's been on T1, it's been a treat to watch. I realized that Summit played Lucian 2 games, so that's why I couldn't find it. And like I was like, where is this one play? Well, it wasn't in that game, so that made it a little tough to see. But yeah, so Teddy was the player of the week. The Boomer Award, ignore the stats there. The Boomer Award, I couldn't give it to just one player. I just had to give it to KT. This was an embarrassing performance by KT, just in general. Like they went 0-2 against T1 and 0-2 against Damwon Gaming, which I know is a tougher matchup, but they didn't even look remotely competitive in these games. Like these games were so just poor. Just like poor quality League of Legends that made it just so depressing to watch, you know? Like you're like, why did why? What are we watching here? Like, why is this really a professional team? And that's why I just, I hated it. I hated watching them. Okay, so here I found the play. I've bought enough time. We're going to go back up to match review, and we're going to show this play of Sandbox here. We're going to do it full screen, and here we go. So we have. Let's go back 5 seconds. So, Sandbox trying to get out. Like, Root just died. You have On Fleek dying up top here. So, this is already, like, a lost cause. Like this right here already is a... And, okay, so you're already retreating. You've lost 2 people. It's a 3v5. All of their health bars are, at worst, Viper way up here is at half health. But like everyone that's within attack range is pretty much full HP. So they do pop sword. They do pop sword very hard there, which I guess Summit decides to tunnel vision. And do I need to show? Can I watch this? Here we go. Let's go into 25 times speed here. So they pop. They get sword down really low. And someone's like, okay, I'm gonna ult him and try and get him. UCal blocking, amazing. By the way, mid Varus worked great. Mid lethality, lethal temple Varus was kind of weird, but it worked. So he's blocking perfectly there. Blocks every bullet, which gets him actually at low HP. Summit decides to flash over and try and get this kill, but it's not like here, look. This is a ward. Oh, okay. Is there a control ward in there? I apologize. During the game, I didn't notice that control ward there. I just noticed the ward, and I'm like, you knew. That doesn't excuse it because you knew the Viper and Iroh were there because they killed On Fleek right there. They have not moved. But like, what are you doing? Like. Instantly Griffin gets that kill. Now it's only Zoe and Tom Kent, which is totally fine for them to take out. And then I believe from this point on, they just immediately took a Baron. Let's see. Nope, they got killed. After I said Zoe's all good. No, they reset after that, but that was shutdown goal, by the way, because Summit was 4-2 at that point and really fed. Like, definitely carrying Sandbox at that point. It's just Summit goes so aggressive sometimes, even when he doesn't need to. He tries a little too hard to make plays, and it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because he's very, very good, but it's a little too aggressive, and that's coming from me, the guy who loves the shy. Not great. Love them, but Summit has a little bit worse tendencies than them, even. All right. Let's go to our week 3 predictions, where we have Gen G versus Hama Life in game number 1. Surprisingly, one of the best games of the entire week. We actually have some very good games this week. I'm actually hoping, like, more than I can, like, possibly hope, that some teams really turn around so we actually have a really good week of LCK. We have Gen G versus Hanwha Life. I do think that Gen G, coming off a loss against T1, is going to bounce back. I'm curious because we have Hanwha Life who plays. You don't know what they're going to play. You know what I mean? Like, they can play anything and everything. So we could see a cheese, maybe a game here by Hanwha Life. I don't think the cheese is going to get 2 wins so against Gen G, which I'd be very surprised if they're able to pull 2 crazy comps that Gen G is not looking for and win them both. But Gen G, a 2-1. We'll give them 1. Even though I just praised T1 a bunch, I cannot put him over Dragon X in this game. I just think that Doran is a much better top laner than Kana. And I think that Chovy is totally able to handle Faker in the mid lane. And Deft and Kira is able to take down Teddy and Effort. I think you balance out you even out T1's power in their ADC and their mid laner. And then their weakness in the top and their jungle in Kana and Kuz. Dragon X has the advantage with Doran and Piausek. Piausek has looked so good, even though his name is so difficult for me to say. He's looked so good. I expect him to run all over Kuz and make life a living hell for Faker and Teddy when they're going against already Chovy and Deft. Deft versus Teddy, though, is always a real treat to watch. Damwon versus Griffin. I think that we're going to see... Let me move this over a little bit, and then he's got to move over. But Damwon versus Griffin, I'm sitting here like, man, Griffin really needs something here. Not Griffin. Damwon really needs something here to get better. And the game against Griffin, I don't really see that improving. Even if they go 2-0, maybe that Griffin is better, to be fair, than APK and KT. It is a step up, but it's still their losses. Damwon's losses have been against Gen G and SKT or in T1, and they've only looked good against the bad teams. They have not looked good against the good teams. They look terrible in the T1 series. They got 2-0'd by Gen G in the second one. Like, I'm very worried about this team. Like, they did lose their coach, so that could have a pretty big impact. That's a little bit of an under the radar type impact there for this team. That's pretty much all coming back as the same team. KT versus APK. This game, do not watch for your sanity. I will actually say I'm going to give APK the win. That is how disappointed I am with this KT Rolster team. I do not even believe this KT Rolster team can beat APK. Like, I'm sorry to say it. They look that poor. They looked so bad against T1, and they looked so bad against Damwon. Like, my issue is it's in the jungle. The fact that Bono keeps going he went 1-5 in the first game against T1. And then he got replaced by Malrong, who just kind of did nothing on the Gragas. So then they put Bono back in for Damwon. He goes 0-4 on the Gragas. And then they replace him with Malrong, who goes 0-3 on Sejuani. Like, it's the jungle. This is the worst team jungling of all time. Maybe not all time. Maybe that's too much. But, like, this is the weakest jungle duo that you can have on the team. Like, I would totally be okay. Like, you know how I just said, like, I hate substitutes? If Bono was your starter and, like, you need a substitute, I'm in. The issue is your substitute is Malrong. We've talked enough about Malrong that he is not good. In the sense... I do hate saying that because it's in the sense of his peers. He's not good like his other professional peers. He would be the greatest jungler I have ever jungled with if I played with him. You know what I mean? Like, down here in Plat Elo, we'd be like, oh my god, this guy is a god. He's the greatest jungler I've ever seen. But no, compared to your peer, you gotta always compare pro players to their peers, and he is very likely on the very bottom of the barrel. But so is Bono. So you really don't have much to work with. Not that APK really has much to work with themselves, but I'm trusting Flawless, the guy who played in LPL for like a few years, or just like at least a few full splits. to at least be able to beat this jungle matchup and kind of pop off a bit, which we haven't seen too much yet. Trusting in Flawless, which sounds so dangerous if you watch any LPL last year. For JDD's downfall in Summer Split was Flawless. Freaka should be able to take down Sandbox just fine. I've been very disappointed in Sandbox so far, and Sandbox's actually weakness is on their bot side with Root and Gorilla. I think Summit, Omphilique, and Dove are actually much stronger. Root hasn't really shown me too much so far this split, and Gorilla actually hasn't done too much either, in my opinion. So I'm actually thinking that if Mystic plays, which apparently SNS has to play a game every week now for some reason, I expect a clean 2-0. No big deal. Now time for game of the week over there on the right side, as you can see. Dragon X versus Gen G. I gotta go with Dragon X. I've had him above Gen G in my preseason until Idol forced me to change. I'm gonna just bet all in on this team. I love this team. And Gen G and Dragon X are coming off very tough games. Very tough, respectable games in their first game of this week. So there's no balance either way from like, oh, Gen G doesn't have to worry about Hanwha Life. Gen G has to do so much research on Hanwha Life. They don't know what's going to be coming out. And then, obviously, Dragon X on T1, you got to do a ton of research there as well. So I think the balance is fine. And I think that we will see a very good 2-1 series. I think these are arguably two of the best teams, including T1 and Afrika. Like, the two of the top 4 teams, for sure, in the league going at it. Just like we have with T1 and Dragon X over in the first day. And honestly, Gen G and Hanwha is a number 2 team versus number 3 team versus number 5 team. That's pretty good too. Hanwha Life versus Griffin. Like I said, I have a lot of faith in Hanwha Life. Griffin did have some clean comebacks, but man, if you're Sword doesn't look good. hot take of the week. Sword does not look good. Sword looks very bad on Griffin, and you have Kuve on Hanwha Life. This is a game to throw the Tryndamere. You're going to get that Tryndamere fed very early, just off himself, and then you could just snowball him with a bunch of picks. Ooh, like let that happen, please. Kuve should be able to run all over Griffin, no problem in this game. T1 over APK, I think that's self-explanatory. Freaks over KT, I think that's also self-explanatory. Freaks over KT. I think I said that properly, but I'm not sure. But Freaks over KT. And then finally, the last game of the week is Sandbox versus Damwon. Probably my 2 most disappointing teams so far this year. I mean, you could say KT, but like, KT is definitely the CLG of Korea. Like, they are very, very mediocre. And anytime you expect anything, it's your own fault type situation. So I would definitely say Damwon and Sandbox have been my biggest disappointment so far. I expected a lot more from both of them. I will give Damwon the benefit of the doubt one more time. But even if I do, I have Sandbox losing here to Afrika. So then they'll be 1-4. APK does have to get, or KT, one of them has to get a win. So one of them will be 1-4, hypothetically. Griffin, I don't have Griffin winning. So we're talking, if Damwon goes 2-0 this week and are 4-2, I'm still not trusting them. They'll be 4-2 with the 4 teams they've beaten have a combined 4 wins in 3 weeks. Like, it will not look pretty. They will be the gatekeepers, essentially, kind of like how Hanwha Life used to be, where they can only beat the bad teams and really struggle against the strong teams. I'm very curious to see how Damwon does. I believe next week they have Afrika. Let's see. Yeah, Damwon has Hanwha Life and Afrika next week. That is a very big task for Damwon. If they can recover and win both of those, or at least one of them, and make them both of them look really close, then I might have a little more faith. But until then, they're beating up on crap teams, man. I'm really worried about this Damwon team. they don't look like they have necessarily just the confidence that they used to have previously. Even when we saw them at Worlds, they had a lot of confidence that they don't have this time. So yeah, the predictions are. I didn't make any. I'd say my APK over KT might be an upset, but they're both 0-4, so it's not too big. I don't really have a big upset. If I had to give you an upset to watch out for the week, which I kind of want to do more often because I love picking upsets, my gut is telling me. My gut's been right quite a bit this year. The closest game for an upset would be a realistic upset would be Hanwha Life over Genji. I think that one. I think they can get, if there was one, they could get 2 cheeses there. I don't think there's an upset either way on Dragon X and T1. I don't think there's an upset with Griffin or Griffin over Damwon, but I don't see that happening. APK KT, I don't think that's really a big upset. I don't see Sandbox beating Afrika. I don't see you can't be an upset there. I don't see APK beating T1. I don't see KT Rolster beating maybe Griffin over Hanwha. If you count Griffin over Hanwha as an upset, that one might be one to watch as well. But I would say Hanwha over Genji is probably the most likely upset. Not necessarily going to happen. I don't think it will happen. But that would be the most likely of this week. Hey, Ryan. Sandbox makes me sad. Yeah, Sandbox makes me really sad right now. Sandbox and Damwon. I just mentioned, I don't know if you're here, I just mentioned that they my 2 most disappointing teams so far, for sure, in the LCK. And we watched a play earlier about Summit going in a 1v5 at that point on Lucian and just completely dying immediately, and it made no sense. Yeah, that's Sandbox right now in a nutshell. But yeah, I think that will be it for the podcast. Sorry here to cut it off right as you got here, Ryan. But man, we went pretty long. We went like still someone with the double bluff cosplay. Yeah, just flashed in his or just immediately die as Lucian. Yeah, it wasn't great. But yeah, we had a nice 47-minute podcast here. I was gonna. I won't tell you. I'll do a double week wild card next week. I didn't do the wild card podcast last week. I was a little bit busy on the day, and I felt like it's the wild card, so it's okay to get away with. You know what I mean? Yeah, I had plans with a friend, and it turned out it was good. It was good, good plans. But anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow with Ryan, who will be here, I think. But Ryan and Brian to talk about the mess that is NA. And NA is a very, very big mess. Such a big clump. I already know. Spoiler alert for the thumbnail is going to just be, I'm just going to make a ball of all the teams and just clump them all together. Oh, Ryan, you won't be there? Oh, dang. That's going to be the thumbnail, Ryan. I don't even know what we're talking about yet, but it's just going to be a ball of every team just beating each other. It's going to be crappy, and then Cloud9's just going to be on top of it. That's it. Alrighty. We'll see you guys tomorrow for NA, and hope you guys enjoyed the LCK podcast. Thanks. Good night.